yoga, we're going to actually start covering them. And we don't just cover them mentally, but we're going to cover them spiritually, and we're going to cover them with our body. Okay? The first one is Yamas, which we are actually, there's 5 Yamas. There are 5 Yamas, of which we are going to see 1 Yama every time we meet. Okay? But know that there are 5 restraints and abstentions. Each Yama is going to be sort of like a rule that you live by, right? And then the Niyamas, there's also 5 of those. And that's your moral observance. That's where all of a sudden that changes and you realize, aha, maybe it's time to change who and what I'm being. Right? The asana, well, that's what we do all the time. But notice how the 8 steps, they work one right after another. See, and that's why I tell you, in India, and for these young boys, they were not allowed to get to the asana till they had mastered the yamas and the niyamas. Okay, that is attitude. That is the connection. That is how you behave. That's almost like the golden rule that every religion has. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Right? And then from there we go into pranayama, which is breath and control of vital energy. Pranayama is the breath of life. Right? What happens is a lot of us are still breathing chest breath. When you use chest breath, you're not using all of the lungs. But when I teach you to use the belly, you use the lungs all the way up. And in terms of healing, when you use the lungs from the belly up, there's less chance of cold, less chance of sinus infection, less chance of headache, less chance of upper respiratory infections, and less chance of any ear infections. That's pretty good, don't you think? Let's cut down our colds and, and do other things. Pratyahara is the withdrawal of senses. That's one of the hardest things to do. We do that sort of in meditation when we sit there after. We just kind of sit there and listen to all the noises, but we withdraw from the reaction. Right? And then non-attachment to physical things. That doesn't mean that you can't have physical things. That means you have to let go of the attachment. Okay, we're going to see that a lot more in the yamas and the niyamas. Then we have dharana, which is concentration of the mind. Something that we're losing, or that you guys are losing because you guys are always on your cell phones. You're really losing that, and that's something you have to work harder at. Right? Dhyana, meditation. The practice of meditation unites the mind, the body, and the spirit. I always feel better after I meditate. I feel like, okay, now I can take on the world. Samadhi, bliss, superconsciousness state. It's really tough to get to that. It was said that Jesus got to that, Mother Teresa got to that, Buddha got to that, Gandhi got to that. Not very many other people have gotten to that. Right? This is where, you can completely detach mental, physical, and emotional and see everything in the way that it really is. See everybody for the light that they really are instead of judging. Right? We have a tendency to judge. We judge people because of their sexual preferences. We judge people because of their jobs. We judge people because of what they say. We judge people because of what they wear. And so when you get to this, you accept everybody no matter what. Okay? So when we do this, we're actually going to take a look at the yamas and the niyamas more in depth, because that's going to talk to us about our physical body, and that's going to talk to us about our attitudes. How many of you guys have heard from your mom that if you didn't have the attitude, right? And what's happening is that she's giving you attitude as she's telling you to knock off the attitude, right? So attitude gets in the way. It gets in the way of relationships. So we're going to take a look at the attitudes we have, right? And that's important for us to take a look at. And then these are things that we must restrain ourselves from. Is everything okay? I keep seeing you look at the side.
No, it's
Oh, okay. And is it bothering you? So maybe get it with a piece of paper and let it outside. Yeah. And so what happens is, guys, what we need to understand is that all of this comes together very nicely and neatly. Okay? And when we begin to do that, people always ask me, well, I'm doing yoga now. Do I need to be on a special diet? Do I have to be vegan? Do I have to do this? You don't have to do anything. We talked about that, didn't we? Right? You don't even have to get up in the morning, really. The only reason you get up is because there's something better for you, right? So we're actually going to take a look at all of that and how that plays into that role of who we are and how we shape ourselves for success or for not success. Okay? Does that make sense? Just don't scream, guys. All right? So does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a, oh, look at it. See, she's gonna, yes. All right. So we're gonna actually take a look at that, and I'm going to actually ask you to do things that you're not comfortable doing. So this whole next time, besides the fact that, you know, you are in asana, in uncomfortable pose, I'm gonna push you out there to be more uncomfortable. Right? So let's talk about the homework. How have we been doing with the homework?
Great.
Are we like noticing what kind of thinkers we are?
It's kind of hard to the difference between the feeling and the thoughts, right? Or like the same, but just write what I feel.
Okay, so that's a thought. If you're able to write it down, that's a thought. That's a good question. Okay? Hold that and remind me about that, because I'll come back to that. That's important. Anybody else on those? What are we finding? What are we finding on those thoughts as you're writing those thoughts? Who said that's more negative? Your thoughts are more negative than.
No, I thought because overall.
Right, overall, right.
Overall, yes, overall I think more negative and I'm more positive person, but more negative thoughts come from.
Yeah, and that's important to take a look at that. Any other things that you guys are finding? Adriana, you looked away. If you look away, and I see you look away like you're avoiding me, I'll call on you. Self-defeating. Right. Do you have children, Adriana? How many children? Two. What are their ages, if you don't mind me asking?
7 and 3.
Ah, this is good for you. Because at that point, you see the human mind begins to shape with everything through our chakra, through our first chakra. All our core beliefs come in from gestation all the way to the age of 12. So, and most of those thoughts come from mom and dad.